It's May 28th. Can we call the Franklin County Commission meeting to order?
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Present.
Commissioner Waymire?
Present.
Chair Harris?
Present.
Vice Chair Metter?
Present.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Pledge allegiance.
Present.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please stand.
Lord, we thank you so much for the opportunity to serve you, to serve our community, to serve one another. Lead us, guide us in all that is said and done. We ask in the precious name of Jesus. Amen.
Thank you. Public comment.
None.
Consent agenda was consider approval of the meeting minutes for May 21st.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Yes.
Commissioner Waymire?
Yes.
Commissioner Metter?
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Chair Harris?
Yes. First item of business is rezone application 2502-0035 Woods. Pat.
Good morning, Commission. So this location is commonly known as 3478 Louisiana Road. It's about 1 3/4 miles west of Ottawa. The applicant is requesting to remove 19.18 acres from an approximate 80-acre parcel and rezone it to the RE district. The remaining 60 will continue to be used for agricultural purposes. On the 19-acre tract, there is currently a home. This property will be split through a subdivision plat at a future date to create two roughly equal 10-acre parcels to be sold at a later date. There is water and sewer on the property with the house. There's no significant conversation of this lot split. Staff and Planning Commission both recommend approval.
Any discussion, questions?
I guess.
Do I hear a motion?
Motion approved.
Second.
Commissioner Waymire?
Yes.
Commissioner Metter?
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Yes.
Chair Harris?
Yes. Item 2, consider the approval of application for Payne at 2199 Shawnee Road. Pat.
Okay, so back in December of 2024, Brian, our sanitation expert, was asked by a representative from KDHE if Franklin County would be interested in a grant program to help individuals who qualify for financial assistance in order to repair their failing septic systems or test their water wells to ensure they were safe to use. We were approached because there was about remaining of $50,000 in their account that they needed to scrap in order to continue receiving funds for the continuing fiscal years going forward. We hurried to apply before December 31st, 2024, and roughly a couple months later, we were approved. However, the state has given Franklin County a grace period until 2026 to have this money allocated for because the state financial office had some delays getting the funding to the county. In the meantime, Brian had already applied for another grant requesting another $100,000. Last Wednesday, I spoke with the state official in charge of approving said grants, and she confirmed that we are now approved for an extra $75,000 of grant money. This brings us up to $125,000 of available financial assistance to landowners who meet the conditions required by the state. However, we do have to spend 80% of the $50,000 in order for the state financial office to deposit the next $75,000. We are to provide quarterly reports that will include allocated funds and spent funds. Once our report shows that we are down to $10,000 or less, we will then receive the next $75,000. As briefly explained in your staff reports, funding is based on income of the applicant. In most cases, this program is designed to help individuals who are under the federal poverty line or living in a situation such as a fixed income situation. The overall purpose is to mitigate environmental hazards and help members of our community who may not have the means to complete well testing or sanitation repairs on their own. At this time, we have only one completed application with tax statements showing that they will indeed financially qualify for the 100% funding. However, we are in contact with other members of the public in similar situations that our department is aware of. I believe that we have a few other good candidates and would expect applications in the near future. We are requesting the approval of this application because to start the process, we must spend a portion of the grant money in order to complete the soil analysis. I believe that the grant will not be extremely competitive overall, as this is a very specific issue and only specific applicants will qualify. I believe that at some point we will be looking for applicants that qualify for this grant in order to meet the timelines requirements that were set by the state to have the minimum allocated funds to have our funds allocated by 2026. With the systems we currently have on our radar, I believe that we will have the funding to process the majority of our applications going forward at this moment. Obviously, that's always, if we get flooded, we have to go through each individual tax situation, see if they qualify. As they make more income, the allocated funds that we can provide dwindle to about 75%. Once they surpass a certain threshold of income, they're no longer qualifying.
So it's tiered.
So it is teetered, correct, to about 300% above the poverty line.
Do you have any idea, just off the top of your head, to replace the septic system, a failed septic?
If you're going a full septic system, we're looking at a roughly, and
Yeah,
give or
it's all
take,
different, but yeah.
but it's around $15,000, I would suspect.
So we could, about 10 total. I mean, if we did all of it.
If we do all of it, we're probably paying around $16,000.
Okay, cool.
So it's our intention moving forward. With your permission, we would like to advertise, do a better job of advertising this program. When we receive applications, Pat and Brian will do a cursory analysis to make sure that the applications meet the threshold. And then before we do anything, we would like to bring it to the five of you so that I don't feel comfortable, at least without your permission, if we're gonna make decisions that result in $15,000, $20,000 expenditures, I feel like that should flow through the five of you. So we can do the initial analysis, make sure it meets the criteria, then send to you with a recommendation. That way you guys are overseeing it, have a say in where this money goes. I would tend to agree, based on what Pat and Brian have told me, that I don't think we're gonna have enough applications initially to spend all of this, so I don't think anybody's gonna be put in a difficult spot, but I would feel better if it flowed through the five of you.
So cash-wise, doesn't cost us anything. Obviously, there's staff time.
Right.
But we get more compliance likely with codes and the public health benefits. And then citizens get a way to afford a repair and stay in their home that they may not otherwise be able to.
And going forward, this grant is relatively new. I don't know that we will receive, say, $75,000 going forward every time. More and more counties are hearing about it, so the grant itself is becoming competitive, but we're able to jump on top of it quickly. So I think we can we'll be able to help a good portion of people that need it at this time. So we got pretty lucky on this.
In addition to the septic repair, water well testing, is that on like dug water wells or drilled or?
Typically it would be your drilled water wells, and we do provide kits at this time, but that would be at the cost of the applicant. At this point, it's negligent, around $60 to
It
test.
doesn't hardly cost anything, and
It's
it doesn't,
not.
and you can't fix anything, it's just the testing.
Right, we're not going and repairing water wells, we're just testing to make sure that they're safe. But we can at least provide that to anybody that's curious about their water, want to check into it. We can pay for that funding. And that
Yeah,
expenditure does not have to meet that.
yeah.
Just septic systems that release their own.
Correct.
There's not any that are hooked up to a sewer system.
Correct. I did ask if we could use this on Centropolis, and we cannot.
Okay.
So that was one of my hopefuls, but no. So,
Happy to answer any more questions. This morning, we're actually asking for approval of our first application, which is the Payne family at 2199 Shawnee Road. We have done the initial analysis. I say we, Pat and Brian have. They have determined that it meets the criteria. We are seeking approval of that. From there, you do your soil testing, you start getting bids for the actual repair of the system, and we can bring those bids back. My initial thought was if you approve it, I mean, all we're doing is selecting the lowest bid. I thought we would touch on it during a staff report to let you know, but if you want us to bring the actual bids back, we can, or we can put them on a consent agenda, whatever the five of you would like to see.
I mean, it sounds like you're tiered with the
right.
program anyway. I don't know that it needs to come back to us, and anybody else think so?
Lowest responsible bid, I guess, would be the only thing
Yeah.
especially since we're sending people to work on somebody's home, if you've got a contractor to put a price in, but these people do not want them at their home. I worry about that, where we'll
Yeah, and we will work with,
work through those details.
but typically what we do have, it is up to the applicant to find the 3 bids in the first place. They have to go out and do their own, so they would most likely be
Gotcha.
The ones,
choosing who comes out to their
Getting together,
property.
Well, I would make a motion to approve the application for Katie Payne to use the local Environmental Protection Program grant money to repair the failed individual septic system located on site.
I'll second it.
Commissioner Metter?
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Yes.
Commissioner Waymire?
Yes.
Chair Harris?
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Third item is consider approval awarding bid to the 25 painted pavement marking project. Jeff?
Yes, good morning, Commission. This is just basically, we had ran this once and we only received 1 bid. And I believe Straight Line, it was an oversight on their part to not get the bid in. And then we reran it and they came in the lowest bidder. They've been our bidder the last 25 years. They've been doing our paint. So we know the Clausens quite well and they're familiar with our system.
They gonna be able to get here pretty soon after the chip seal?
They will, yeah.
On that chip seal bid, I think there's a few thousand for temporary markings. Will we be able to not do that then? And,
Well, by state, you are required by the federal guidelines to have those markings on there prior to the paint.
the uniform
So,
traffic control.
yeah,
How do they get away with, like in Douglas County where they
I
got a
don't
lot
know.
of paved secondary roads that aren't marked?
I don't know how they do that, but I do know by statute, we are required to have those markings on.
Uniform traffic control or whatever says?
Right,
Okay.
correct. And there has to be so many per mile. But yeah, UMTCD, thank you they're the ones that are mandating that requirement.
Okay. Well, then we'll do it.
Is there a motion?
Motion to approve the bid for the 2025 painted pavement marking project to Straight Line in the amount of $48,763.
Second?
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Yes.
Commissioner Waymire?
Yes.
Commissioner Metter?
Yes.
Chair Harris?
Yes. Staff report.
Yeah, thanks, Rod. Not too much, just Janet and I are having our budget meetings this week, had several yesterday, and right after this meeting, we're gonna start up again, going well. We've got a pretty good system in place, no surprises, pretty cohesive process so far, so we'll be in front of you guys here week after next, so that's all I have. Thanks, Rod.
Paul?
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Haven't given you an update for a while, so I thought I'd just give you an overview. FCDC, we had our strategic planning session a couple of months ago and identified 4 areas to target: housing, childcare, workforce and support of existing industries. So we're building leadership teams to act on each of those. And we've had a number of meetings on childcare already, and we've had kicked off our meetings on housing and on workforce, and we'll soon have a meeting on existing industry. But those groups are going to kind of identify opportunities and challenges and how we might move forward in those areas, as those are our key areas now. Everything I'm hearing about the industry, data center and proximity parks, it's still moving forward. It's not going as fast as all of us had thought it might and hoped it might, but it's still moving forward, and no red lights that I'm aware of, so that's good news. We continue to get inquiries, and so I've reached out through the mail at this point to adjacent landowners just to gauge if there's interest in having discussions, if somebody's interested in purchasing their ground. So continue to look for ways to continuing to attract industry, even though we can't market Proximity Park at the current time. So we're working on that. And then we do have activity in housing. I've got 2 meetings this week, one today and one on Friday with housing developers. One of them is a second visit, so seems to be picking up in the county on that regard. So that's good too. Happy to answer any questions.
Not a question, but I heard this morning that was it Jackson County? Was Kansas City, Kansas maybe, was voting on a project the same as this out here, 400 acres, year date thing on that one,
Wyandotte County.
Yeah.
Wyandotte County.
Yeah, I don't know particulars on it. I do know there's a lot of interest along the Midwest, and especially along the main gas line, Southern Star's gas line for data centers. I've had 2 more data centers reach out to me about locating in our region. When we started this with Lightfield, they were the only one in the region, so they were kind of ahead of the game. And a couple of weeks ago, visiting with KCADC, they had 15 in the pipeline. So the data center industry is really looking at the Midwest because of access to fuel and cheaper land than maybe where they've been going. But it's starting to get saturated pretty fast. And I was just visiting with the rep from Kansas Gas and yesterday and sharing some of that information with them. And they said, it's great, but we still have to have the ability, the pipeline's there, but what can we service through that pipeline? What can we not? There's still limits, even though it's a major gas line. So starting to get rather competitive as far as where a data center can go just because of the power needs. And then with the state, came out a couple of months ago with incentives for data centers, but it's related to the power generation, and so that kind of changes dynamics a little bit as well. So a lot of things to work through, but so far, everything's still a green light on the one that we're working on.
Seems like Ottawa could be primed for a multi-story apartment complex at some time. Is there anything, it's like, okay, limited land and
Yep.
need, and I listened to your housing study with the city last week, and it's always, we need more.
Yeah, we, like I said, I've got a couple of meetings this week with developers, and one of them is kind of looking at all options. So what you're talking about is one of the things that they've put on the table as something to talk about. The leadership team that I've got in housing is, we need it all, and so the conversation was, well, we need to focus somewhere. And so that group has decided they really want to focus on senior housing. And so I've gone back to the folks that did our housing study and asked them if they could do an analysis for us on senior housing that we could use as a kind of a case statement to give to developers for that. Senior housing would certainly be something we need to keep our seniors in our community, but also if they move, then that opens up that house for somebody. So that's kind of the rationale around the senior housing. But so you'll hear more about it from us on that too. But yeah, hopefully the meetings this week will continue to move forward.
I always shake my head when people say how can this new house build be affordable housing? Well, that's not what new house builds are.
Right.
New house builds are for people to move up to, so that the houses that they're in would be the affordable housing.
Exactly.
They think that we should be able to build new houses and they should be affordable.
Yep.
Or, yeah, but.
Yep, yep. But that's where the rentals come in, Somebody asked me, well, the housing study didn't talk a lot about the lower end. I said, well, the lower end happens because we open up new housing.
Right.
So plus, in the housing study, it did talk a lot about the need for rentals, and so that's the other piece for workforce housing. So, anything else? Thank you.
Thanks.
Pat, you got any more? Dustin? Jeff?
Cool.
Janet? Commissioners?
I don't know the whole story on it yet. Did get a notification on this morning. The RT&D was helping. We've been working with Paul and working with all the economic development people, and we had a meeting here about a month ago, invited in the head of the Office of Prosperity. And I just got a deal this morning. They was awarded a $100,000 grant in Garnett to rehab a building on Main Street. So, but I was gonna find out more details, but it's always good to hear that, something does come out of what you try to promote. So that's all I got.
We're working on a list of vehicles to send to auction since we got the wave of new ones in.
We'll probably do that this summer, fall. We'll get a list out. I'll put it in front of you, decide where you guys want to go, whether we go through gravel roads or purple wave. Process of getting that set up.
Parking in the parking lot today. Can we reach out to Brandon maybe this summer about getting it black and seal coated and new lines?
Yeah.
Parking's getting a little subjective, so.
I just would like to bring up that Monday was Memorial Day and to honor all the people who fought and died for our country to be here. I went to the memorial last Friday that they had, and one thing that you see the names on the board, but I think it was Sam Pacheco Jr. mentioned, brought out that it was 198 people on that just from our area. And, you start thinking about all the lives, how things have changed or could have been. And so it just was kind of humbling to think of that, 198 people.
Thursday, I went to the Advent Health Board. They've hired their second person so that they are going to start the program again, and we'll start delivering babies at Advent Health their goal is by the end of summer, which is a great timing because Coffee County is going to quit. And so as it becomes more of a desert, then we're going to be able to start back our program, which is exciting. Friday went to Chamber Coffee for Can Equip, their huge expansion. Did attend the Memorial Day celebration on Friday, which was very well attended, I thought, and was beautiful weather and reminds us why we have Memorial Day. This afternoon I have a KAC board, and that's all I got.
I don't have anything. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Aye.
Aye.